Alrighty, hello YouTube and welcome back to the video. We actually had one of our viewers send in a rec review. His name is Fireslayer and he's a 14-year-old virgin because that's the only way he has a name like that. And he's a 1700 elo player going up against Trundle the Great here with his 1700 as well. I thought he was lying about his elo because he said he's 1700, 1800, but it turns out he actually is a 1700 elo player. And he said he's having trouble breaking towards 1900 2k. He keeps hovering around 1700, 1800. And honestly, he just needs my help, all right? And of course, being the generous guy that I am, I offered to help him for free because someone else donated $50 on his behalf. But again, the generosity came from me. You already know what it is. And let's go ahead and take a look at his gameplay here. It's a very high elo rec review here, so this is definitely take a lot of my energy. And basically how this started is he asked for my advice, all right? He asked for my advice verbally, but I said I can't give you advice on that elo range until I see your game. Because this is an elo range where he's not making the standard mistakes. He's not floating wood. He's not idling his TC. He's not making the basic mistakes. He's going to be making mistakes that are a little bit more intricate, a little bit harder to see. And this is what I always recommend. If somebody is hard stuck, I always recommend them to either try out the Patreon or to try out some coaching. Patreon just being the cheaper option. And it's a good way to get unhard stuck because grinding helps and playing a lot of games gets you better, but the problem is, if you don't know where your mistakes are, you will never get better. You can play 1,000 games, 10,000 games, and you can still be hard stuck. Like, there's players that have 10,000 games and are hovering from 1,200 to 1,400. Very, very normal. It's, like, actually normal. And they just never get better. So, to avoid that, you gotta get some external perspectives. So that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and fast forward the Dark Age. Everything looks good in the Dark Age. He lured in his boars a little bit earlier. And I think he's playing random civ because he's on Persians versus Byzantine, which are not like high tier, not low tier picks. So they're, yeah, it seems to be random civ. Only mistake that I'm spotting in Dark Age is you have a little bit too many animals dead under your TC. So for example, little thing you could be doing better. This boar has 47 food, and that deer had 27 food. What you want to do is put all your vills that are on deer, put them on the deer that has the least amount of food first. Finish that one, then move to the next one. That way, you have less animals rotting for longer periods of time. So this one has 47 food. You kill the second boar, finish this one with these 6 vills, and then shift queue them back to the other one. This is a small tactic in early game that's going to just help you get more out of your early game hunt. All right? But again, that's not the reason why you're hard stuck. So that's just a little thing we want to fix. But these little things add up, so definitely don't take that lightly either. That's a really important point. Alright, so he's going to go scout his opponent now. So now you see your opponents around here. Let's see what he does with that information. Okay, it goes this way. Actually, it's a mistake to go this way because you see a relic, so it's always on this side. And he's going to go ahead and X the sheep, so probably wants to send it back. Yeah, that's one of my viewers, guys. We send the sheep back. So nice. Love to see that sportsmanship. Alright, that opponent can't speak English, unfortunately. Didn't understand. Oh, no, he did X. Never mind. I'm talking shit for no reason. He did X. He's like, where did I send the sheep? I thought he just said thank you, but he did X. Okay, good. Alright, fair enough. Don't ignore my shit talk. And smart play from Fireslayer, because now he knows exactly what the enemy TC is. Nice little soft cheating there. Alright, just getting some information out of that sheep. And yeah, just gonna loom and click up here. Okay. Pretty good. So basically what I'm expecting him to do right now is do a loop around his opponent's town center. This is great that this is happening, because I literally tell, like, 1,100 elo players to do this, and probably people that are watching YouTube be like, Hera's just going over like the beginner mistakes again. But like, you see, like 1,700 players, he's literally just not looping around the base. This is the first thing you should be doing. Why are you going back this way? This is a huge mistake, and now we're seeing 1,700 elo players do this. This is why when I tell you I'm ranked 1, not because I micro well, but because I do the basics really, really well and consistently. Fireslayer, this is basic. Go around your opponent's base to scout where his resources are. And you're just not doing it. You're taking forever to get that scouting information down. What that does is it's going to show you where his barracks is going to be placed, when it's going to be placed, where his resources are. It's a very big deal. Let's see if he does it right now. If he goes around. If he goes back now, I'm gonna be pissed. There we go. Good. Go around. So it's a little slow, but better slow than never. He's going to get that information. Okay, back home, we're going to go for some militia. As Persians versus Byzantine, that mining camp should always be 1 tile higher. It's just inefficient, so it's something small you can fix. No, he didn't do it. He literally didn't do it. You guys see what I'm talking about? You guys see what I'm talking about? It's 1100 ELOs making the same mistake at 1700 ELOs. They're all doing it. They're all doing it. So please stop ignoring it when I say it. Loop around your opponent's TC. You have to do that. He doesn't know if he's on second wood line. He doesn't know exactly where the berries are. He doesn't even know where the town center is. He doesn't know how the map looks like, where he can wall. He doesn't know anything. And if this comes up later, it's going to be really bad for Fire Slayer, okay? So he's going to go for the militia. He's going to attack. So now we can only attack the wood line because we don't even know how the berries are looking like. So the wood line's the only target. So we're going to head there. And we're going to go for men-at-arm rush. Now, as far as strategy opening, I like it. Taking forever to get across the map, though. That could go a little faster, but I'm not going to nitpick. So I like the choice of men-at-arm versus Byzantine. I think it's a good idea. And behind it, a range is natural. So men-at-arm archer, pretty standard. And opponent's going to wall up a little bit and just defend because he's Byzantine. So that also makes sense. So both players are playing pretty well. All right. Reasonable strategy choice on both sides. And he's going to start walling up a little bit here. Now, I'm going to tell you this to give you some perspective. Generally speaking, when you're playing men-at-arms against a slower paced civ like Byzantine, I would not waste economy on walling up early. It's nice and cozy to wall this up, so I wouldn't say it's a mistake. But I'm going to give you some perspective here. Instead of spending the wood on the palace side here, it's much better to save that wood for a couple extra farms early or a blacksmith earlier so you get the most out of your rush. If you're the guy attacking, you don't need to wall this quickly. All right, you only wall this quickly when you're both attacking, so scout for scout or men-at-arm versus men-at-arm. But if one guy's purely on defense, you can delay this wall in favor of a faster blacksmith. Faster blacksmith means faster fletching, which means a better attack. All right, so it's not a mistake to wall here, but you're not playing it as good as you could. Delaying the walls in favor of aggression is definitely the way to go against a slower paced civ like Byzantine, especially when you're men-at-arm rushing him. All right. Now you're going to go with the men-at-arm rush. Couldn't go on the wood line because we, it's walled up. We're going to go around here. And again, we still don't know what the back of the base looks like. Sitting on this range is horrible. This doesn't make any sense at all. And we get punished. We actually lose scout HP here. But why do you want to sit on this range? This is horrible. You always want to go around and take a look at the berries because hitting the range, you're never going to kill it. You're not forcing any idle time and your repairs. So this is actually just not a good play at all. Following this up with skirmishers, fair enough. Yeah, this is absolutely horrible. He said something in the chat. So the guy we're reviewing, Fireslayer, just said, I realized that he most probably walled in. Interesting that you used most probably. Because you actually don't know. Because you didn't scout anything. This is what I'm talking about. You don't know if he walled in or not. And in fact, he's actually open a little bit. You can walk around here and force some panic at the very least. But you don't know because you're not scouting. So you're just guessing he's probably walled in. What are you, a genie? Just go scout it. Alright, so now our men-at-arms basically achieved 0 pressure, but it's okay. This happens sometimes. It happened this game, mostly because it's your fault. You didn't scout the sides, so you didn't know where to attack. We could have gotten more value out of that or caused a bit more panic, but it's okay. At least you kept them alive. It's not bad, alright? Alright, back home. Yeah, you're not walling too much, so again, that's pretty good. You seem to have a good grasp of what you want to go for. You know, in this case, you don't want to hit any buildings. All you have to do is go around to the berries to force your opponent to quick wall. When you're playing men-at-arms against a guy like this, who's playing defensively like Byzantines, just forcing him to quick wall and assume a defensive posture is already a win with the men-at-arms. Double bit-axe, better late than never. Trying to engage head-on against these skirmishers. Not bad. I don't mind going in for a little bit of micro. It's actually kind of nice. Alright, important thing to watch out though is that we already have a minute 24 idle TC. So while you're microing, you need to be making villagers back home. Alright, so this is another important point. So what just happened there, again, this is the Patreon video. This is why I recommended him the Patreon. You engaged in a fight. Pay attention, everyone. This is a very important topic. You actively engage into a fight. You're not on defense here. You were not forced to take this fight. You chose to take this fight, okay? So you actively walked in and you actively tried to fight your opponent when it's a neutral game state. You're not hitting villagers. You don't have an advantage. You just took a neutral fight. And you did that when your economy was an absolute disaster. Your town center is idle. You have enough wood for 3 farms that you're not placing. And there's a lot of things that you could be doing at home first. What you want to do in that case is wait a little bit, fix your economy, and then once your economy is fixed, you make the farms, then you engage. Because what happens here, he's floating the wood, is going to delay him transferring the wood to food, which is going to delay his castle time, and in exchange, he doesn't get any value. He's forcing his opponent to fight, but he's fighting at a bad time for himself. So he's taking a bad timing fight, and he's choosing to do that, which is the worst thing you can do as an aggressor. So take a look at what's happening here. He's going to actually do a good job microing, so we'll give you credit for that. And back home, he still hasn't made a single farm. We make a blacksmith. So we're just stuck on 4 farms. And the wood keeps climbing up. There we go. Now we're getting back to fight. But see, now we're going back to make a farm. We lose a skirm because we're fighting. So he's trying to do both at once, but it's at the wrong time. The flow of the game is much better if he just fixes his economy, backs up, then goes in, fights, then goes back, fixes his economy. That flow is what you're looking for. Or else you just start leaking stuff. So again, there he just lost the skirm. We're still floating wood because we're fighting constantly. Opponent, by the way, is also floating some wood. But it would be much better if we fix our economy first and then force the fight on him. Because he doesn't get to decide when we fight. We do, because we're attacking. Alright. So, Trundle the Great's going to be pushing in. Or pushing back, sorry, with the skirms. That's a mistake to get this, actually. So you shouldn't get that. Fletching is good, though. Archer armor doesn't work in skirm v skirm. You can do the math on the pierce armor if you want. And now I'm going to be walling up. So this is a pretty good setup. But we were late on the farms. So right now we have 12 farms. Opponent has 13 farms, and he already had most of them made. Isn't that a big problem, right? Your opponent has faster farming than you when you're playing as Persians. You have 2.5 minutes of idle TC. This is basically the end of the game. Because Byzantines scale way better. Persians are stronger early game, and you wasted your early game ruining your own gameplay with your aggression. Your aggression hurt you more than it hurt your opponent. And now we're just trading weaker skirms because our skirms are normal price. He has a discount. We're in a bad position where we're trading against the guy who has, better army, cheaper army. And we got no value. In fact, we lost out of that early game trade. For me, the game is over. I can leave here and I'm satisfied with the rec review because there's way too many mistakes here. There's way too many mistakes here for you to ever win consistently enough to climb. So my advice to you is to get into the habit of taking the fights when it's convenient for you and to back up, fix your economy, and then engage forward and try to take some fights like that. Alright. And good micro from you, though. I will say, I have to focus on the good stuff as well. Good micro. You're fighting well. When you are fighting, you're fighting well. Nice. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You understand what to do there. Very, very good. Yeah. But this is good. It's like you have clearly a good strength to microing, but you're missing out on some of the more delicate elements of the game. Some of the more broader aspects of the game. The macro elements. So now, because of the delayed farms, what happens here is that now you have way too much wood. Alright? Because you don't have enough food to click up to Castle Age. By the way, I don't want to flex or anything, but if this was one of my games, around 1830 with Persians, the same army you did, I'd be just about to click up to Castle Age. Like, I'd be up at 19 minutes. At most, by the way, at most. The same army you did. All because I'd farm faster than you did. And I wouldn't idle my TC so much. So you can basically be up to Castle Age here. I'm not expecting you to play as good as me, of course, but I'm saying there's a level of which you can increase your gameplay here just by looking at your economy early game. Because your micro is fantastic. You actually have a lot of potential here. You're good at the hard part of the game, which is the microing. Look at that. That's fantastic, man. Seriously, that's really good. Now you're adding a stable. You need a market, of course, because you messed up your economy, so you need a market. Alright, and it's good to get a market when you mess up your economy, but it's not good to mess up your economy, so you definitely will get punished. And your micro's fantastic. Like, seriously, you have, like, pro-level micro. Bit less, but still, like, really top-tier micro. Nice, man. Nice. Good. Like, imagine if we weren't playing skirm v skirm here, and we weren't behind so much on ILTC. We're getting up to the castle at the same time, which is a cardinal sin, by the way. Like, being up same time as opponent when we're attacking him all game and he's Byzantines and we're Persians, that literally doesn't make any sense. Alright, stable here, and then wall up a little bit. Alright, bloodlines. Hold on. This is actually really interesting. Yeah, you have to keep these scrims alive. You're gonna switch to knights behind it. Also, this is interesting. So you let's take a look at what you do first, and I'll show you. Like, there's gonna be a disaster very soon in Castle Age. I can already promise you that. I see the disaster up here. I just want to make sure he's committing to his move first, where I pointed out. Disaster happened. I knew it was gonna happen as well. I knew it was gonna happen. He made 2 TCs immediately as Persians. And I knew this was going to happen because he was floating 700 wood. These recipes are literally killing me, by the way. I can't even speak anymore. He made 2 TCs right away in a monastery. 2 stable knights. You have 19 farms. It takes 6 farms for every TC with a generic civ. Persians even a little bit more. And it takes 6 farms for every stable to produce knights. You have 19. So 6, 6, 6, 18 of 1 farm left over. You have 1 farm left over to take care of 2 stable knight production. What's going to happen here, quite clearly, is he's not going to have enough food to make knights or villagers. One will have to stop being produced. And when that happens, you're in a situation where you spent your resources on buildings and didn't get the value out of it. So you're basically wasting resources. And this happens actually quite often. And look at that. Already can't produce knights anymore. That's it. He can't produce knights. So this 2 stable play in the garbage. That's it. Within 2 minutes of Castle Age, complete garbage. Our situation is horrible. And it's all because we didn't do things at the right timing when it comes to like adding in the town centers, mixing them in slowly. So a better thing to do in this case is to add in 1 extra town center and the monastery and stay on two stable knights. And instead of making the third town center, you just add 4 farms. All right, same cost, but it's much better that way to keep 2 TC producing and 2 stable producing. And if you don't want the knights, you don't want the stables, don't make them. Save the wood, spend it on something else. All right, and here's another thing as well. This matchup only gets harder from here. It's one of the hardest matchups to play in the game, by the way, in late game, because Byzantine just going camel eats everything Persians can do, basically. Like, camel skirm is like Exodia. That composition has no counter for what Persians can do. So it's only going to get harder from here. So you can do good bait back in. I'm noticing a pattern. Every time you're fighting with military, you do well. And now you're booming 3 TC. So clearly your plan was to 3 TC boom. So in that case, don't go 2 stable. Go 1 stable. 1 stable, couple knights. Don't get +2 armor. Save your economy. Save it for something else. Like, for example, get bowsaw. Instead of the +2 armor, you get bowsaw. You get more resources per minute, right? Alright, so again, your plan was to boom. 2 stables, over investment. You're missing economy upgrades because you're making that mistake. Now you're gonna go to stone. Good timing on the stone, by the way. Really good timing. So now what's the plan? If you're a Patreon viewer of mine, you know the plan 100% here is to mine stone, make a bunch of army now, leading up to this mid game, and go for a forward castle. There's some insane hills to do to take advantage of here, and that's one of the best things to do in the mid game. So I hope you go ahead and try that. It looks like you are doing it. You're adding in some knights right now, mining stone pretty heavily, so you might go for that forward castle plan. One of the best plays you could do in this situation. And by adding an army, you're preventing your opponent from doing it to you, so that's pretty good. And now you're actually taking a lead here because you're playing as the Persians, so you're actually doing pretty good to come back into this game. But it's mostly because your opponent made similar mistakes by making 2 stables and not really using them correctly and delaying his town center. Like, he's just making army and camping with them. So because your opponent's playing kind of bad, you're getting away with things that you shouldn't be getting away with. And in my opinion, this is what leads to players getting hard stuck. They play against people making mistakes while they themselves make mistakes. So the game looks like it's normal, but there's mistakes on both sides, and neither player can spot it, so neither player gets better. That happens all the time. And that's one of the leading causes of being hard stuck, literally. Oh, that monk with relic is going around. He got glitched so hard. 4th TC. That's contradicting your stone, right? Mining a lot of stone here is to go for a forward castle. If you just add a 4th TC, that's contradicting your game plan. You're scaling to a late imp versus Byzantines that destroy you there. And your opponent's taking relics, so in my opinion, we have to end this game fast. If we want to win this, we have to win fast. He's not a Patreon member, guys. He's not going for the forward castle. No! What are you, Viper? Making a castle at home on a hill? Are you serious? Do you understand how bad this matchup is late game? You have... Why did you make this army for, then? The whole point is to go forward. And make... Now your opponent's just imping for free. You're gonna lose late game. And if you win, it's because your opponent sucks. So there's no way you're getting out of this. There's no way you're getting out of this wreck review feeling good, by the way. It's impossible. If you lose, you suck. And if you win, your opponent sucks. That's it. You're not good. Quit trying, kid. You're not good. I'm bullying him. I'm not even helping him. I'm just bullying him at this point. Alright. Yeah, so again, that castle needs to go forward because you have to win the matchup early on. It's really hard to beat Byzantine, especially a Byzantine that has relics at the back. Look at this guy at the back of his base. 3 relics. So we have to look for an alternative win condition. So my advice to you, like for this game specifically, you have to go for forward castle here because you have to make something happen with your build lead right now. But a general advice is for you to always think of a win condition. So if you're playing like this, that means in your head, you have a good idea of how you want to beat Byzantines in Imperial Age. Now, maybe you're delusional and you're thinking, I want to win with War Elephants and Imp. That's why I made the castle behind. It's a pretty stupid idea because War Elephants will not beat Byzantine. But if you believe that's the case, then you're playing well with your setup because you're at least playing towards a possible win condition. You guys understand what I mean? So if you're playing towards War Elephants and you think, okay, that's going to be the win condition, I'm going to try to get to War Elephants, then what you're doing is actually good. But if you go for anything but War Elephants, then it's not really making any sense to be playing defensively with your castles like this. Alright, so your opponent gets the imp first. Your opponent is slightly behind in vills, but the more vills... Let me explain something as well here. The more vills on the field, the less your vill lead matters. For example, if you have 50 vills to your opponent's 40, that 10 vill lead is really good, all right? Because it's like 20% more vills than your opponent. But if you have 100 vills and your opponent has 90, it's still a 10 vill lead, but it matters a lot less because it's something like maybe like a, what is it, 10% extra vills, maybe a bit less. So the vill lead that you have with Persians matters a lot more earlier in the game than it does in Imp. All right. And again, you're not going to grow in the vill lead necessarily because your opponent's, like if you're going to be on a 4 TC boom, your opponent's most likely to match you. In this case, he has only 3 TCs, but again, it still keeps a relatively close vill count. And he's got the cheaper units as well. Also, we don't have Wheelbarrow. Yeah, Wheelbarrow has to come in at 16 farms. We have 49 farms. We needed it at 16 farms. So we needed Wheelbarrow about 3 hours and a half ago. All right, making a bunch of stables. We're gonna go Cavalier. Again, not a bad option. It's reasonable. But your opponent, look at him. Camel Halberdier. This guy is anti-you. He's anti-you. My goodness. You can't show your face around this town. He's got all the answers. 50 TC. I don't mind that one because it's an expansion TC, so that's actually quite good. A lot of people say it's too much, but I actually really like it. So that's a thumbs up from me. General advice at this point, you should do outposts on the sides. Trust me, it's going to change your game. Outposts on the side here, outposts on the side here, and you get full vision of the whole map. It wouldn't win you this game anyway, but it's just good general advice. Last furnace, and honestly, I called this game like 20 minutes ago. You can't win Imp. Now, because you're a 1700 player, you don't have the same experience as a pro player. So it's possible you didn't know that you would lose this matchup, which is very fair. So my advice to you is to always think about the options in late game and then try to come to the conclusion of who wins it early on into the game. That's my best advice. So like in this case, even a new player can understand that Byzantines probably win late game if he looks at the tech trees and looks at the bonuses. All he has to do is have time to think about it, is what I'm saying. So just try to take the time to think about this, to understand who's got the better late game, and it kind of helps you decide how you want to play out the mid game. I thought Cavalier with Bloodlines could be better. I went full Cavaliers. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not even close either. Byzantine camels are actually overpowered. And even if the camels aren't good enough, he's got the halbs as well. I will give you credit though. You did a good job getting your build count high. But yeah, unfortunately, you're just losing the late game. He's got 3 relics on top of it, so he has relic advantage, and he's going to have the cheaper units, and I'm going to call GG. So again, let's recap a little bit here. Dark Age can use a small improvement, so don't forget my advice on the Dark Age. So he said that he thought Cavaliers would win, but he realized on this fight that they don't win, and so he resigned right away because he realized it's pointless. Fair enough, fair enough. Again, completely reasonable. You'll learn from this, so next time you're in a similar situation, you'll know about it. So let's recap my advices. So Dark Age definitely could do a little bit better there with some advice that I gave. Feudal Age was an absolute disaster for many reasons. I'm not going to recap them all, but definitely think about how you're putting pressure in Feudal Age. That's going to be a big part of it. But in my opinion, the biggest mistake you did was actually this idle TC here that kept creeping up to 2 minutes and 30 seconds of idle TC. And just to put this in perspective, guys, 2 minutes and a half of idle TC with Persians, it's 25 seconds a villager. So that's like 6 villagers with a generic civ. With Persians, that might even be 7 or 8 villagers. Okay? 7 or 8 villagers behind. Do you understand how bad that is? Like, obviously you have to pay for them, so you have to like pay the food to make them, but you have the food for them. Like, you make a vill in 3 minutes, it pays back. So you're like 8 vills behind. That's the win. That's the win. It's acceptable to have like 30 seconds of idle TC, by the way. It's acceptable. But anything more than 30 seconds at this stage of the game is way too much. So I gave a lot of good advice, in my opinion, throughout the game. I'm not going to repeat it all, but in my opinion, that was the most important point. But I hope the rest of it has been beneficial to you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this on YouTube, make sure to leave a thumbs up and comment down below if you want to see more like this. And if you guys want to benefit from coaching and from rec reviews and from, you know, other educational stuff, check out my Patreon, link in the description below. I recommended it to Fire Slayer as well. It's the best value you can get as far as information and exclusive content for your money. It's the best value for money you can get. It's cheaper than any coaching out there. And I think there's a lot of good information that could help elevate your game without needing someone else to look at you. So check that out, link in the description below. And come on down to Twitch if you guys want to watch us live. And with all that said, thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.